printers can be really freaking frustrating. But can you imagine how awful it would be if paper printers were as frustrating as 3D printers? It's all smeary. I wonder if my ink temperature is too low. Wait, what's the right temperature to use for this kind of ink? And is the paper tension right? I feel like the paper's coming out a little bit crinkled. As frustrating as printers can be sometimes, for the most part, when you get a printer, you plug it into your computer, you hit print, and what you printed comes out of the printer. And you don't have to screw around with any settings. Either it works or it's broken. But most of the time, it works. And 3D printers have been like the total opposite of that until today. And that's why I am so freaking excited about the printer that we're looking at today, the Bambu Labs X1C. This is the best 3D printer I've ever seen. And I think it represents like a generational leap forward in what a 3D printer can be. You see, 3D printers have always been fiddly and technical. They've been tools for hobbyists. And in order to use one, you have to become a 3D printing hobbyist. You have to learn how to troubleshoot. You have to learn how to maintain. There aren't any 3D printers out there that work like paper printers where you simply push print and get a product out the other side. And the Bambu Labs X1C comes closer to that than any printer I've ever seen. I cannot wait to show it off to you. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. What I want to do in this review is help you decide if a printer like the Bambu X1C is something you want to spend money on, because $1,500 is a lot to ask for a printer, especially when you can get something for $200 or $300 that in some ways can produce the same outcome, just with a lot more hassle. And so what I want to do is take you through some basic day-to-day processes and show you how they work with this printer. And the first thing I'm going to do is run a print. It actually comes with some prints on the internal memory card, and we're just going to print a benchy here. But before we can do that, we're going to have to load the correct filament in. So when I say this is a $1,500 printer, that's actually not just the Bambu X1C, but it is also this little thing on top, the Bambu AMS. I think it stands for Automatic Management System. Basically, the AMS is a spool holder. It holds 4 spools of filament, and it can load and switch between those spools automatically, even in the middle of a print. So if you're interested in doing like multicolor prints, you can tell it, I have orange filament here, red filament here, white here, and green here. And in fact, here, if we look at the home screen, we can see down here in the lower right, we can see it knows what color filament is in there. Interestingly, if you buy Bambu filament, it comes with a little RFID tag in it that allows the printer to auto-detect when you set the filament in the AMS, exactly what type of filament and what color it is. So that's pretty cool. From there, we can hit the storage, and let's pick this benchy. This has come pre-sliced from the factory. It's on the internal memory, just as a little test print, and we're just going to hit print now. We can see here that we've got about 20 minutes till the print is finished. Actually, it just went down to 19. And it shows 20% completion, even though we've only been going for about a minute. The reason for that is that the time to completion includes all of the pre-printing checks. It hasn't even begun printing yet. It has heated the hot end, it's cleaning the tip, it's going to do auto bed leveling, and then it's got a couple other checks that it does before it prints. For example, the hotbed has a QR code on it, so it's got magnetic surfaces that you can change depending on what you're printing. And the printer will actually check that QR code and see if you've got the right surface on the printer before it prints. Obviously, it does auto leveling. We can see it doing that now. And it does other things like flow calibration. So the printer has a LiDAR sensor that after it prints the first layer, it can actually look at the depth mapping of the first layer and basically see what the first layer looks like. One of the ways it uses that is to do flow rate calibration, so it can maximize the amount of flow coming out of the nozzle. And the other thing it'll do is it'll check after the first layer prints and see if the first layer has any defects. And if the first layer didn't go down right, it'll throw an error and pause the print. In my experience, this isn't 100% reliable. I have had first layers fail and the printer didn't get it, but it has also worked some of the time and saved me from a blown print. Right now, the printer is doing something it calls sweeping XY mech mode. What it's doing is vibrating the stepper motors at certain frequencies to sense the effect that that has on the printer, so that as it's printing, if there are any troublesome frequencies that would cause like artifacts in the print, it can like try to avoid those frequencies. I've never heard of this before. And now that all of the pre-printing steps are done, the actual printing is beginning. And this is real speed. This thing is fast as shit. And just about 20 minutes later, our print is finished. We can just pop that off the build plate, and we'll take a look at the quality of this and a few other prints that I've done a little later in the video. So that's what it's like to print a file from the printer itself. But most people are probably going to interact with the printer using this program, BambuSlicer. This dragon is a 3D file that I downloaded from the internet. I've imported it into BambuSlicer, and we're going to get it ready to print. And the simplest thing I can do is choose one of these system presets. These presets are going to be what you want to pick if you're looking for that promise of the print and go, zero hassle, everything gets as close as possible to just working out of the box experience that Bambu promises. If you use these presets with Bambu branded filament, you are very, very likely to get a seamless result. But obviously, you can use your own filaments. And if you do that, the presets often will work okay, but you might end up in a situation where you need to tweak a few things, especially because the Bambu printer prints so much faster by default than most filaments are really prepared for. So for example, the temperature ranges that you see recommended for most filaments, the Bambu printer will usually print at 10 or 20 degrees Celsius higher than that because it's going so fast that it needs the filament to be as liquid as possible. So if you're using third-party filament, you may end up needing to tweak some of these settings. And of course you can. All of the settings are there to tweak. I say all the settings are there to tweak. Like if we look at what we've actually got here, like just take a look. There's a chance that if you are a 3D printing enthusiast, there are some things that you would like to see that actually aren't here. I'm personally usually use Cura Slicer, and Cura has tons and tons of options, most of which it doesn't show you, but you can get them. In BambuSlicer, I haven't found a way to bring in any of those options that might be missing. And in fact, you can see here, I've even enabled the advanced button. By default, you just see this stuff. They're trying to make it as simple and foolproof as possible and avoid you sort of going down a rabbit trail that makes you worse off than you started. If you do decide that you want something a little more tweakable, there are other alternative slicers that have been made by the open source community, such as Orca Slicer and Super Slicer, and they give additional options that aren't available in BambuSlicer. Here's where we see that BambuSlicer is so much more than just a slicer, because on the device tab, we can actually monitor the print in real time. This is a webcam that's inside the printer and is made available to the internet through the Bambu cloud. If you don't have your machine on the internet, for security reasons, then none of the stuff I'm about to show you will work. But if you do, it opens up a whole freaking new world. We can see the status of the print here. We can see the status of the AMS here. Sorry about the noises. It's a loud freaking printer. That's one of the downsides. More about that later. We can see the filaments that are in the AMS. It even tries to estimate how much of each filament is left, although, like, for example, it can tell my red is nearly full, but it thinks my orange is nearly empty, and I'm not sure why. It's even showing the humidity level inside the printer right now. It's got a humidity sensor, and it's just like saying, hey, it's dry, it's wet, whatever. Here, we're loading the red filament. And of course, from this page, we can do any of the other basic maintenance things that we would do from the front of the printer. So if in the middle of a print we need to tweak the temperature, we can totally do that. If we need to change the fan speed, we can do that. We can even, not in the middle of a print, we can even move the bed up, down, left, right, etc. You know, I just realized I have a grocery delivery I got to pick up, but while this print's running is the perfect time to do it. It's a good thing that there is also a Bambu mobile app. Oh yes. Parking spot 7. Car blue, done. Great. And now, while we wait... Oh, no, oh, it's failing. Oh, I see it failing. Oh, did it figure it out? No, oh, no, oh, no. Oh, we caught the very moment that it failed. Is it going to be smart enough to know? Come on, Bambu. Come on, artificial intelligence. Figure it out. Figure it out! No, no, the AI is not figuring it out. Oh, it's kind of, oh, there we go, it caught it. Wow, what a thing, what a thing. Oh, I could not have planned this better. We'll stop the print. You know, that print was kind of designed to fail because it's a torture test, but it wasn't supposed to fail by losing adhesion with the print bed. There's actually something really annoying about the print bed of the Bambu X1C. Let me show you when I get back home. The reason that my print failed is that I didn't follow Bambu's exact instructions about how to prepare the build plate. So this is the standard build plate that comes with the printer. They call it the cool plate, but I'm not exactly sure why it's cool. It still heats up when you're printing on it just like anything else. And it is a smooth magnetic plate, and they insist that you have to prepare it with a glue stick. You can see the remnants of the glue stick here before you print on it. And it's pretty weird because, like, I'm familiar with putting glue stick or putting hairspray on a printer's bed in order to improve adhesion. But, like, I haven't had to do that on any of my other printers. So here's the lesson that we can learn from this experience about this printer. When you do things like Bambu says to do them, then things usually come out okay. And when things don't come out okay, usually it's because you've deviated in some way, whether you know it or not, from the way that Bambu says to do them. This can be comforting, but it can also be frustrating. It's comforting because, like, I know that as long as I am in the safe cocoon of Bambu, then I can print, and most of the time things will be okay. But the minute I got a spool of filament from somewhere else, or the minute I go, dang, I don't want to put glue stick on, I just want to print, I shouldn't have to do this, then you're back in the land of 3D printer hell. You can't fully escape the land of 3D printer hell. But let's save that for the conclusion. Let's look at these prints and see what kind of print quality it's turning out. And we'll start with the 3D Benchy, and it is a pretty gosh dang impressive Benchy, especially when you consider the damn thing printed in about 20 minutes. I know that the actual slicing time was something like 24 minutes, but that includes all of the auto level and the flow calibration and the vibration and all the other BS it does before it prints. There's actually custom G-code you can download that shortens that from about 7 minutes of prep before every print to something like 3 or 4 minutes. It shortens it down. This is a 20-ish minute Benchy, and that is, my typical time for a Benchy is like 2 hours on my Soval. It could probably be done faster than that if I pushed it, but the quality is insane for a 20-minute Benchy. It's insane. We see pretty similar results if we look at this test print. It is mostly flawless, except for the problem we had with adhesion that caused the whole print to fail. So maybe not a perfect score, but in all of the parts of the print before it actually lost adhesion with the bed, it looks really freaking good. There's no stringing between these towers. You wouldn't expect a lot of stringing with PLA, but you know, suffice to say, the Benchy looks really good and clean, and the bridging test, on all except for the very longest bridge, there's almost no sagging. You can see just the tiniest bit of sagging on the very longest bridge, but overall, it looks really freaking good. And the overhang, well, hang on. I printed a separate dedicated overhang test, and it got all the way out to 90 degrees without the print failing. If you've got the AMS, then the Bambu X1C is also capable of multicolor printing. What that means is that in the middle of the print, it will pause, it will unload one color of filament, it'll load the next color of filament, and it'll continue printing, and you can have, well, up to 4 different colors in each print. Actually, even that's not true. You can extend the AMS. You can actually get a second AMS and have up to 8 different filaments that the printer can switch to as it needs to. The print that we're looking at right now is pre-sliced and comes with the machine. And I just want to show you how, like, loading and unloading the AMS works. So because this print is pre-sliced, it's telling us we need to have specific colors of PLA in each of these slots. And so we will open it up. At the moment, nothing is loaded, and I can just retract the roll out of this feeder and lift it up out. Let's see, it wants black in the first slot, but I don't really have black. So it looks like the black is going to be the color of the letters. Let's just make that orange. We'll just set that down in there on the rollers. There we go. And as I begin to feed it in, it just sucks it on in and loads it up. Again, if this is a piece of bamboo filament, then it's going to automatically read the type and color from the RFID tag in the spool. And interestingly, this is the spools that you get if you buy them preloaded on the spools from Bambu, but green is in the third slot. Bambu actually is doing the ecologically sound thing, if 3D printing can even be said to be ecologically sound. Most of the time when you order bamboo filament, they'll come on a cardboard roll and you'll have these reusable spools that you'll put them on. I am not going to take this apart and have my whole spool fall apart to show you how that is, but take my word for it. That's pretty cool because it just saves you a little bit of plastic. Getting low on green. Hopefully we have enough. Let's see here. Oh, isn't that cool? The spools come with these little indicators showing approximately how much filament you have left. And I can see here I have about 200 grams of green left. I'm sure that Bambu didn't invent that, but it's nice. Obviously, most of the time, you're not going to have a pre-sliced file with the colors in it. You're going to have a file that you downloaded from the internet, and you're going to want to tell the printer to print different parts of the file in different colors of filament. Let's go back to the BambuSlicer and take a look at the tool that it has to let you do that. And if I do add one or more filaments of another color, I can use this color painter tool. And I was really impressed at how seamless this was. Like, for example, let's make some parts of this dragon green. I am just painting the individual surfaces. There are several other tools I could use, like I like to use the gap fill personally with smart edge detection, and I can just click on a part of the dragon and have it be turned into a certain color. That's pretty badass, honestly. And in the end, here's the result. Now, I know a screw gauge is not the coolest multicolor print I could have done. I could have done an action figure or something, but I kind of hate just printing off test prints just for the sake of doing it and then throwing them in the trash later. And a screw gauge, I've actually always wanted one of these. And I've seen people make them in the past where they'll just take like a Sharpie and they'll color over this. And I never really liked that. I wanted a 2-color one. And now I have it. Yeah, pretty good freaking result. Until now, I've been showing you these great looking prints and talking about how blazingly fast and stupendously easy it is to produce results like this. But these prints all have something in common. They were all printed with rigid filament. And if you are an FPV enthusiast like I am, you're going to do a lot of printing with flex filament like TPU. And this was the first place where the maxim, as long as you buy Bambu filament and use Bambu profiles, everything will be great, fell apart on me. Because I printed this GoPro holder on the Bambu X1C with Bambu filament and... No, sorry. This was the one I printed with SaneSmart filament and a customized print profile made by an expert in 3D printing. No. This is what the Bambu X1C produced for me. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's awful. Look at this. This was produced by my $300-ish Sovol SV01. And to be fair, it took 2 to 2.5 times as long as the Bambu did, but it looks great. Looks freaking great. So what's going on here? And I struggled to answer that question, trying print after print, changing different variables. I ran the filament through the drying procedure. The printer actually has a drying mode where it will heat the bed up. You put the filament roll on the bed, and then you close the door and you leave it overnight. It heats the filament. All 3D printers can do this, but this one has a special drying mode for it. I dried the filament. Nope, didn't fix it. I tried a whole second roll of filament. Nope, didn't fix it. The only thing that fixed it was switching to a different brand of filament. And then the results were great. I left the supports on here just so I could show you guys. Like, I'm literally pulling this off the printer. I haven't cleaned it up at all or removed any stringing. This is literally just how it came off the printer, and it looks freaking great. I checked on the Bambu website, and it turns out that they only have 2 colors of TPU. 2 colors of TPU, black or white, which might just indicate that they don't focus very much on TPU, and that's why their profile isn't as refined, and maybe the quality of the TPU is not as good. If you're an FPV hobbyist who prints a shitload of TPU, you're probably not going to be buying the Bambu filament, if only because you want any color other than black or white. In addition to switching to SaneSmart brand filament, I also used a custom print profile made by my friend Julian, who owns the 3D printing company Noozle 3D. He prints, you're going to see him later in the video, he prints with Bambu printers, and he has a custom tuned profile that he uses that he gave me. Interestingly, when I reached out to my contact at Bambu, he also sent me a custom tuned profile for TPU. So there are, I think, 2 takeaways here. Number 1, the default Bambu profile for TPU isn't the best, at least for Bambu filament, and maybe not for SaneSmart filament. Although, I gotta say, there are people out there getting good results with Bambu TPU and the Bambu profile, just not me.
My name is Julian. I am the owner of Noozle 3D. Well, I have my own store, and I do all the prints essentially for Rotor Riot, and a lot of their designs, well, 3D printed designs.
And right now, I can see behind you, you have the Bambu. That's the P1P, right?
This is the P1P. Yeah, I have 6 of them.
Smaller cousin of the X1C. And you recently bought those. And what were you running before the P1P?
Prusa Mark III S. Still have one down there.
Did you sell them?
No, I have them, but they are for sale.
Oh, yeah. So you're getting out of the Prusa business, and you're buying P1Ps.
At least for what I'm using it for, the P1P is just better overall. Essentially, it's faster. I'm getting prints to come out 2.5 times faster per printer, that's a huge improvement. That's the whole cloud thing. Now, when they make an order, I could just put it on the actual software and print all the items that I need at once. It just makes it much more simple. Yeah.
How about the quality of the prints? Like, they run faster.
They're actually better. Yeah, I'm actually getting better quality.
They run faster and turn out better quality.
They turn out better, yeah.
How do you find them in terms of maintainability? Like, the open source design of the Prusa, well documented, very standard design, and so when you need to do maintenance, there's a lot of documentation.
So I found that for most of the issues that you have, there is like a step-by-step process. Like, you can find there's no like manual exactly, but there is like, for this problem, these are the steps you have to take. And they have like pictures step by step, and even some videos too of how to do it.
That's Bambu documentation you're talking about.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. God forbid that stuff should come from the company instead of relying on the community to make it all up.
Yeah.
But you got the P1P. What'd you pay for them? I mean, I'm not trying to, like, what do they retail?
I got them about 2 months ago, and I paid $6.99 for each one. But I did contact them because they're having a sale. They're having a sale for $100 off at $5.99 right now as we're talking. And I sent them an email, and they gave me credit for the printers.
No shit. They backdated the credit?
Yep.
Damn.
Yep. And that's actually, printer number 2, I think this one right here. That one was working for about a week, and I did have an issue with it. Something with the bed leveling. I'm not entirely sure exactly what was going on. So I contacted Bambu Lab support for it. They asked for a copy of some kind of log that the printer automatically takes. And I mean, it took a bit because the customer service, I think they're kind of like backlog right now. It took like 3 days per response. So I think in total I was down, I don't know, like 3 weeks. Not great.
That's a long time for a printer to be down for a pro.
Yeah. I calculated I only needed 5, but I bought 6.
Right.
Because I know these things.
Because you know how this goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was some kind of cable for the bed, some kind of sensor wire, and they gave me $50 on top of the replacement for the fact that I had to change it out myself. So
damn. And you're not and I love the fact that you're telling me these stories, because like, if I say I called Bambu or whatever, they're like, oh, you're a YouTuber, they know. But you're just like a customer. So that's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
$600 for the P1P. How does that compare to what you would get if you spent $600 on a Prusa?
I loved my my Prusa Mark IIIs. Like they've been super reliable, and I'm sure you've heard many people say that. I mean, it's not that they're bad printers; they're absolutely great printers. But any like little bit of advantage that I can squeeze out in order to turn out more prints, like I'm gonna do it. I'm sure if it was like, for example, if I was a hobbyist printer and I didn't need it for the company, essentially, I mean, it would be a better quality of life improvement. But
like, it seems to me like even a hobbyist who was like, I'm willing to get my hands dirty, it still seems like the Bambu is the better printer. Would you agree or disagree?
I would agree. Yeah.
I'm not. I sound like I'm trying to railroad you.
No, I would agree. I mean, and it does kind of hurt to say too, because
that's what I'm trying to get you to say. Yeah. Like, why does it hurt? Why does it hurt to say that?
Because Prusa's been so good. I don't, and like they've done so much for the community as well. It kind of, I feel like I'm stabbing them just a little bit, you know. But at the same time, like I have to do it for my company as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, I think, is that if you didn't depend on this to make a living, you would use the slightly not quite as good in many ways printer because you believe in what Prusa is and who they are and what they've done for the community.
I think I probably would. Yeah, I probably would have gotten the Mark IV.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a really interesting perspective. I'm so glad we talked. It's really interesting. I don't think we should ask the question, who should buy the Bambu X1C? I think we should flip that question and ask, who should stay the hell away from this printer? And the first kind of person who should stay the hell away from this printer is the kind of person who really wants to tinker, the kind of person who wants to build their own 3D printers so they really understand what goes into making a 3D printer great. If you think it would be super fun to spend a few $100 on an Ender 3 and just upgrade the hell out of it and try to match the capabilities of a printer like this, then you don't want to buy this printer. If you think it would be super fun to build like a Voron kit that goes just as fast as this and solve all the problems involved with getting that result by yourself, don't buy this printer. This is not for you. This is a package, and there are some little ways in which you can tweak it, but every time you tweak this printer, installing a new nozzle or making some small change, every time you do that, you risk upsetting the delicate balance that Bambu has created for you to get the kind of performance that you get, and there's potential that it'll all fall apart. The second kind of person who might think they should stay away from this printer is the kind of person who thinks they can't afford it. This is an expensive printer, and especially if you buy the AMS, it comes in over $1,000. There are printers out there for $200 or $300. Obviously, they don't perform at the level of this, but especially if you're willing to slow down your print speed and do a little bit of work in tuning the printer profiles, you can get great results. My workhorse printer for the last 3 years has been a $300 Sovol SVO1 that I've put a little bit of work into, and it prints slow and steady, and it always produces good results, and I've been happy with it. But you don't have to spend as much as you might think to get into the Bambu ecosystem. The Bambu P1P is a budget version of the X1C. There are a few ways in which they've cut corners to save cost. It doesn't work with the AMS. There is not enclosure panels like this. So for example, if you were going to print a filament like ABS that really requires a heated enclosure, the P1P wouldn't work for you. It doesn't come with a hardened steel nozzle. So if you print abrasive filaments, well, you could just add a hardened steel nozzle. That's not a problem. And there are a few other little things, but it runs just about $600 and can get you into the Bambu ecosystem. It's just as easy to use, prints just as fast, and produces similar results. And $600 is more than an Ender 3, but it's about the same price as a Prusa Mark III, which has been like the king of workhorse printers, except it's going to print way freaking faster and be even easier to use if that's possible. So if you can hit the $600-ish price point, you can get into a printer like this. The third type of person who will want to stay the heck away from this printer is the kind of person who really, really values the contributions that Prusa has made to the 3D printing community and wants to continue to support them, even if it means that they're not maybe getting the absolute fastest prints possible. Somebody who really values open source, and somebody who maybe doesn't trust the sort of Chinese connection that comes with Bambu. Although you can run the Bambu on offline mode if you really want to. other than that, it kind of seems like this is the best 3D printer for anybody. Are you a hobbyist who just wants to turn out parts? It'll churn them out with a minimum of tweaking. Are you a CAD designer who wants to design parts and wants to iterate quickly? You can print parts about twice as fast as most other printers, which means you can iterate faster and get to your finished part faster. Are you a professional who owns a printer farm? You can print 2 to 2.5 times faster than the machines you're probably using now with better quality, apparently. And that means you make more money. And if you don't believe me about that, if you think I'm only saying nice things about this printer because number one, they gave it to me for free, and now I want you to go buy one using my affiliate link down in the video description below so I get a commission, and I totally do. But if you think I'm only saying nice things about this printer because of that and not because they're true, go to the Bambu subreddit and just look at the threads there and look at how many of them are people who are skeptical. Could the printer really be this good? And then the vast majority of people are like, I love this printer. And maybe it's not perfect, but overall it's amazing. It's truly revolutionary, and there hasn't been a printer quite like this ever before. You know, I say that, and some people are going to go, what do you mean? There's never been a printer like this before. Prusa makes printers that produce good results with predefined print profiles and relatively automatic production. Camera and cloud access to the printer. Have you ever heard of Octoprint, Bardwell? Everything that this printer does, almost everything this printer does, has existed before in some form or another. But what makes it so special is that Bambu has put it all in a package that just works and just lays it all out for you as easy as possible. And that is the truly revolutionary thing about it. If you're still on the fence about whether to get this printer, I have the perfect video for you to watch next. The very first 3D printer I ever got was the Sovol SV01. At the time, it came in around $200 or $300, and I've got a setup video that takes you through everything I had to do to start getting prints out of that printer. And I want you to go watch that video. I'll put a card on screen and a link in the video description below so you can get a sense of like what you're avoiding if you go with a printer like this. In addition, if you're interested in learning how BambuSlicer, which is the slicer program I've been using, there it is, there's the card, works compared to BambuSlicer, I've got a video about what is a slicer. And if you're new to 3D printing, I think you'll find it pretty interesting. Those links are down below as well. See you there.